I even occasionally correct papers with red ink. I'm thinking, this is only temporary. I know this isn't the thing to do, but this is just temporary until I can get into the writing project. And then I'll know what to do. I mean, really.
Yeah, the Central California Writing Project provides the opportunity to create a community of teachers who are really excited about writing. So the project is committed to improving student writing by improving the teaching of writing. A center that wasn't afraid to ask difficult questions about the politics of literacy, about how literacy and questions of empowerment and disempowerment have to be looked at together, how racism had to be part of our conversation. As important as all of that is it's a project that helps teachers become writers. And that means creating a community of interested teachers who inspire each other and encourage each other to write.
I had refused earlier to sit next to Eric because I knew that if we sat next to each other, he would just bug me the whole night about how weird I was. What are some of the issues that you saw in this piece that could become expository pieces?
Well, you could explore and possibly do research on the rift between younger generations and older traditions.
Mm-hmm. Here's what she came up with for the argument. Self-esteem and how young women are affected by it has become a major issue in the past few years.
The writing project has given me an opportunity to reflect about how I teach and to question about how I teach, and also to talk to other teachers about what they do, and to also see the problems that a sixth grader, for example, has and that a seventh grader may have. If I know about what's going on at those levels, I think I can better prepare myself when they do arrive.
You know, there is something to write about, and you do have something to say, and it's already there. It's already in your narrative, you already have your experience. In that experience, you can find something to write about that can be argued, that can be analyzed, that can be compared and contrasted.
Cynthia had to raise Lolita and her two brothers, Juan and Pepe, on a minimum wage job as a waitress. The whole family lived in a small, run-down, one-bedroom apartment.
This assignment has demystified writing for my English 100 students.
But Elena was anxious because her letter wasn't truthful. She didn't want her parents to know about her real situation.
As I got closer, I was able to see him better as he shuffled across the road. Indeed, it was Sam, my childhood friend. He looked terrible.
The students are encouraged by the fact that there is something there and that they do know something, and more importantly, that what they know is relevant.
While I was waiting for the walk light to signal me to walk across the street, this blue car was coming toward the street at an incredible rate. At first I thought that these people were in a hurry, but right when they were passing my friend, they had pulled out a gun and shot him to death right before my very eyes. It all seemed that the whole thing was like in slow motion, even though it only happened in a couple of seconds.
Why write? Whenever I pose this question to myself or to my colleagues and students, I hear this sentence: we write to avoid the humiliation of silence in the face of injustice and cruelty. I'm not sure who said or wrote this, but I know that it haunts me. It reminds me that writing can be a response to aspects of the world that need to be changed. Certainly it isn't always this, but it is important for me as a teacher, as a parent, citizen, friend, to remember that by writing, I awaken my sense of being an agent for change in the world. I write to become an active contributor to my community.
And so you bring expert teachers together with expert faculty members, and jointly they learn how to be better at their craft. And this has two advantages. It blurs the distinction between university faculty and K-12 faculty. And that's no mean feat. And the other advantage is it creates a community of people working together and learning together, doing research together, evaluating practice together, and writing together.
They've done 5 papers on the same topic. They've done, after they do the 3-part persuasive piece, then they have to write a satire. And they're sure they can't write satires on, starving children and so forth, but write a satire.
I think it would just be a wonderful moment to say, You know, when you thought about this opening sentence with these three things, what did you have in mind? Did you actually think of shaping the whole essay around those three things? Was that part of what you were imagining you were going to do?
There was a point where I thought, you know, you need to open this up to the people that are actually eating the food as well. I mean, your reader is the one that's eating it, and that's going to be what pulls them in. So if you're going to pull a reader into being as interested as you are, you need to figure out what their connection is with this topic.
For me, the writing project is a wonderful opportunity for teachers to get together and collaborate, teachers kindergarten through college age, and collaborate not only as teachers and teachers of writing, but also as writers ourselves. We're going to do Writers' Workshop now, and I want you to think about where you were last time when we ended Writers' Workshop and what you're going to be working on today. I will be conferencing with people. In my classroom, we do many kinds of writing, and we write every day, and I hope that I help the children see that writing as a way of communicating in many forms. We do have a writer's workshop block several days a week, and the children have their choice of stories or poems or plays or other genres of writing that they would like to do. I work with the children, taking them through a process which includes thinking about what they want to write, doing a rough draft of their writing, getting feedback from their friends.
Then everybody said, "Oh no, a panther is running loose." Then everybody hid under their cars, and then the panther went back home and to the zoo and lived happily ever after, eating 6 people at once. The end. That was a nice story, Allison. And can I see it for a minute? Because sometimes when I look at it, it makes it easier for me to tell how good you did.
And then after they go through that process and they're ready to conference with me, because I have primary children, I will take them through maybe 1 or 2 points. In Friends, let me tell you a little secret with that one. This is how I remember it. This will be a good word for you for spelling. I remember, this is what it looks like, and I remember that we can be a friend to the end. And from there we go into editing it in the computer.
What are you going to work on after we print this out?
I think that bringing writing back into the classroom from the aspect of helping children develop their voice and have choice about what they're writing and work through the process of writing is an important aspect that the writing project is helping keep alive in the classroom. Nathaniel has been working really hard on his book, and we know about this book because we've seen it from all of its stages, and now it's in its final stage. It's ready for author's chair.
Once upon a time, there was Nathaniel and Cole played chess. Every time Nathaniel tried to beat Cole, he couldn't.
Children have a lot to say, and teaching them a way to write it down and go through the process with their thoughts is a very empowering act for young children. And I felt empowered this summer as a member of the Writing Institute and invigorated to bring that back to the children.
Before school ended, Nathaniel won the game.
Say that just like you meant it with that exciting mark.
Okay.
Let's say it again. Before
The
school ended, Nathaniel won the game.
When I saw the picture of him disappointed, I was like...
So the pictures made you feel maybe what he was feeling?
Made me feel like I was with Cole playing.
Very often teachers who carry a lot of baggage about writing from their own experiences in school, which often were negative, communicate that negativity, that anxiety to students. And when teachers become writers, when teachers develop a passion for writing, an appetite to share their writing in its unfinished forms with other teachers, they bring that excitement and the insight as writers to the teaching of writing.
I'm wondering if anyone can answer the question, why do we write? What is our writing for? Cole?
So that people can read it.
So that people can read it, so that we can communicate with people. What else? Leanna?
It's so if you don't want to talk to somebody up in person, then you can write them a note or a letter. So we can remember when we were younger.
Writing is the way we can put ourselves into the world, to attempt in whatever small way to act upon our realities, to shape the meaning of all that, and to articulate it so that others may understand what affects or emanates from them. In places where language has been broken or stolen away, what is left of a people? How is our survival marked by the transformation of language, by our ability to transform it, to revise and rework it, to save our skins, to revise ourselves? History is full of this. We're in the midst of it now. And to turn to writing, to understand, to document, to witness these transformations and their consequences seems essential to the continuity of culture.
When I think back to 18 years ago, when I first became a fellow of the Writing Project, and I think what happened in that summer is that somehow I was given the message that my experience was important enough to write down in words. And it was important enough to write it down, sometimes in English and sometimes in Spanish. And I felt empowered after that summer. I thought of myself as a writer. I don't know if you know that, but I'm a writer. Did you know that? Yeah. I've written different things, and one of the things I'm right in the middle of writing right now is my master thesis. And I'm writing my master thesis about student councils. And so one of the parts of my thesis is to actually get your voices in my paper that I'm going to write. So the first thing I want you to think about is, how did you feel when you first got chosen to be on student council from your class? It was important for me to provide an opportunity for children to use the opportunity to write in different genres as an awakening to their world. So more than anything, I wanted to have them reflect on the importance of writing in their lives, and one way to do it was to show them the importance of writing in my life. So the last question is, what do you think we still need to accomplish?
So one thing that I've been thinking about in terms of the newsletter, I really like the way you've developed the student news, and I was wondering what you thought about developing teacher news.
It was exciting for me when Noni asked me to participate in the writing of our newsletter to our parents, that I went back and thought about innovative ideas that I'd been heard in the Writing Project that I could possibly use now in our newsletter. I was thinking if maybe we could include maybe a student piece, like something that they've written that we kind of highlight in the newsletter, an example of student work.
Then are we considering other ways of developing our bilingual models?
We're attempting to bring forth a proposal to the school, to the entire staff, about our bilingual plan. Because I think of myself as a writer, even though I'm in a new position as an administrator, I know I'm still a writer. And so I look for opportunities where I can use my skills as a writer. And so what I'd like to invite us to do right now is just a quick reflection about what you think, given this wonderful discussion about the complexity of what we have to attempt to do, what should be the beginning of our next steps. Just take like 10 minutes just to do a write. And I found the power of that in that some people read word for word what they had written down, like Lucia, and in that you could hear the emotions and kind of the process that she had gone through to finally get to where her proposal or her main point was.
We can look at what they have and move towards the recommendation for a grade level or whole school model. Why? Because we need a common base, a common language, a common model to begin.
By using this process of reflective writing, of sharing, of dialogue, by modeling that with the teachers, my expectation as administrator is that then they'll think, oh, I could do this in my classroom with my students.
Y lo que queremos hacer nosotros es escribir un artículo para el periódico de nuestra escuela. ¿Qué les parece? ¿Sí? Sobre la investigación que hicimos con el Hopper.
So in this third grade classroom, the opportunity to have them write an article for the school newspaper that would be read by everyone throughout the school, I think, was an opportunity to bring writing to the forefront. The writing objectives in this lesson was the introduction of the genre of writing an article for a newspaper and how you have to think about who, what, when, where.
Ah, te equivocaste. Este tiene 5.
The influence that the Writing Project has had on my life is almost undescribable. I think about their voices and their writings and the writing that they've shared with me, and it's sometimes comforting, and at other times it's challenge. It challenges me to take another step forward. And I I truly believe that if I didn't have this network of individuals who have walked alongside me, I don't think I would be who I am today.
Muy bien.
You can have a score that goes across the domains, but can be at different scoring levels. At a time when standards and assessment are really being put at the forefront of education, the Writing Project is working with teachers to really help integrate assessment into teaching and learning. Not to see assessment as something that happens at the end of the learning process, but that is threaded all the way through. One of the ways in which we're doing that is by working with teachers in school districts that have adopted rubrics for writing and use those rubrics to read and score student papers.
I think this paper, the student has an idea of how to organize an essay, but he does such a poor job of developing their own ideas that I think it's down in the 2 where it says lacks focus and difficult to follow the line of thought.
An introduction has to have certain things in it to make it a true introduction.
We reveal through the dialogue in those scoring sessions how the writing itself can teach us about our own teaching.
Well, if we jump to a 2, though,
See, look at the 2 on the
it's
on
then it
spelling.
may cause confusion. There was no confusion.
No, there's no confusion.
So let's say
It's a
3.
3.
So I actually see the dialogue and the writing as a circle or a cycle, one feeding the other. Somebody reads a piece of writing, it stimulates other thinking, talking, writing. The writing stimulates further dialogue. Basically, build a community where people are willing to take intellectual risks with each other and recognize the collective intelligence that emerges.
Who am I? Why am I? A voice, my voice, beseeching to be encoded, a code to label me, to label my world, to tell me I am. A voice so loud, growing louder, in silence, seeking other voices, inviting other voices to speak, to be encoded, so that the many voices that tell who they are echo being. And the dream shared allows us to be in the waking hour.
¿Te gusta mucho escribir poesía? ¿Sí? Yeah? Very good. Yeah. What about you? You like to write poems? Yeah? You're going to write a poem for me one of these days?
Try to.
In my ESL classes, I've been thinking a lot about writing and how to get an emerging second language learner into writing. And it's been quite a challenge. I have found that poetry has been a useful vehicle, and so I've been working on kind of formulaic types of poems with them so they get their confidence up rather quickly.
Mom, kind.
One of the biggest challenges for me has been a student from Oaxaca whose first language is not Spanish. He speaks Mixteco, one of the languages from the highlands of Oaxaca, and has now developed his Spanish-speaking ability to the point where I can use Spanish to teach him his third language, which is English.
Por ejemplo, yo soy el color azul como
agua. Como agua. But what I've seen with his poetry writing is that here's something that he can really hang something on. He's got to the point now where he wants to write. He wants to express himself.
Yo soy color café como chocolate. Yo soy como el árbol muy alto.
I got involved with the California Writing Project back in 1982. At that time, I was a science teacher, and at that time, I never viewed myself as a writer. And by participating in this project, I got to see that potentially everybody can be a writer.
Is my writing good enough to actually be shared, you know? And I had that insecurity when Jewel approached me. The first time I thought about it twice, you know, should I? I mean, it's so personal. Should I share it with people around me? Yeah. And when she convinced me, the response that I got from people was, you know, Everyone was coming to me and actually telling me your piece was excellent. I really enjoyed it. I cried, and I said, okay then.
The staff publication has attracted a whole spectrum of the staff. Our head custodian has written 5 or 6 articles on flying. The instructional aides have written some very moving pieces. We are starting to feel like a community of writers, a community that can be an example for the students.
Paulo Freire was a Brazilian educator who had enormous influence on the way people around the world thought of literacy education. Having worked in Brazil and Chile and for the World Council of Churches, and then came to the United States in 1970, published a monograph at Harvard that opened people's minds up to the way in which power over the word and power in the world often coincided. Writing can be a means of liberation, of empowerment, of self-expression, and also of collective expression. Or it could be a way of silencing and censoring and disempowering people. People's right to their own language is often denied by the way we respond to writing and the way we present writing. Freire's work takes seriously the connection between what we do in our classrooms and what kind of society we want to live in. And I would say that that's at the very heart of the Central California Writing Project.
Went to my first writing project day. I went home crying, thinking I can't be a part of these people. I'm not a good enough writer. And what I found is that I am a writer. I am a professional, a teacher who has and am developing skills that I can share with others. We read your first drafts, and we loved them. One of the more exciting writing projects was a cross-grade writing activity, 3rd grade buddies with my sophomore high school students. The 3rd graders wrote descriptions of a difficult experience that they had encountered, and then my students paired up with their buddies and actually used a specific strategy called snapshot. With a zoom, when you concentrate on a closer and a closer detail, you can actually let the reader into a deeper seeing of what you're writing about.
I felt my hair falling to my shoulders, then to the floor. The razor vibrated behind my right ear, making me giggle.
The bristles jabbed into my skin. I felt a tear come down to my eye. What if she messed it all up? It would be impossible to grow back.
What we're going to do right now is your buddy will help you remember details through pictures and then help you write out the details.
You have great writing here, it really is. You know, with the Colorado deaths and everything, it's really sad. So I was thinking maybe right here.
By teaching, it makes me really have to know what I'm teaching. So in that sense, it makes me learn more so I can teach them.
Peace and...
The buddies developed a relationship over the several months. And as the relationship developed, so did the depth of writing and the students' interest in writing. Right there, I think, is something really important, that audience is absolutely crucial to determining the success of a writing assignment.
Do you have a specific telephone that you use to call them on?
They say the pen is mightier than the sword, so that shows that with writing, you touch so many more people than anything else, like poems, poetry, music, all forms of different writing, you know, that's where the true emotions of people can come out.
That slammed the door in my face because he was jealous of me being Mack's best friend.
The writing project is an excellent way for teachers to begin to become writers, view themselves as writers, and to carry that enthusiasm into the classroom.
He was sad that I was going home.
I am a great fan of this project because I see what it has done over the years, and more importantly, how it can help us continue to be honest as we talk about curriculum reform, as we talk about standards, as we talk about teacher professional development, a whole group of lifelong learners, with the writing project being a home to which teachers can come and get renewed, go back into the classroom, come at another time.
Kind of amazement at start seeing that I'm beginning to write as a teacher. I didn't have that before.
I guess I would call it sustained collective reflection.
I think there was a danger that sometimes we as teachers get into a mode and we become repetitious and we kind of live in darkness, and we're guilty of it. And I think that the lesson that the project has provided me with is that with dialogue, learning never is going to stop, because ideas are never going to stop.
I like to write because it helps you learn at home and learn everywhere. So people can be a better reader. They can read your writing. If you don't write, these books would be gone.
If no one ever wrote, we would have no books.